Chief, please hop on. Please hop on, Chief. You want to call me on Discord? The Doom music.
Send our money to soldiers committing a genocide as we speak.
If Israel was committing a genocide, why wouldn't
the Doom music? I still can't get over that. Chief, hop on, please. I was gone during the entire conflict, so it's something that I am certainly not as well read up on, and I didn't get my trivia fact sheet from the trip that I took. Well, what's going on, Chief? It's good to hear from you, man. Please. If there's anything that I forgot to mention, yo, Braden, you got endowed yesterday. Congrats, big guy. Love to hear it. Chief Trumpster is calling in live with us. Chief, please tell the people what they need to hear after that conversation. What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts about the conversation?
There was so much brainwashing going on. I don't know how long he was on a trip for, but it seems like they really conditioned him to regurgitate a lot of talking points that were just
real
debunkable, really debunkable. The whole thing about pen and paper somehow defeating a intelligence of the Mossad and other groups in Israel somehow, like that to me was crazy. A question I thought about was like for Lance would be like, who was the first person to report or call about the invasion of Hamas on October 7th? The answer was a civilian an hour into the invasion. So they were all asleep for over an hour with all the sensors, the cameras, the people watching the feeds of that border just weren't there supposedly for over an hour. And they didn't even call or notify anybody about the invasion. It was a civilian calling about it, which is crazy. And then also like the part with like whether or not the Israeli military fired on its own civilians or people with tanks or helicopters actually. There actually was a Gray Zone article about a confession from one of the Israeli helicopter operators saying that like they were firing at Hamas and also killing civilians in the process. That was a big story, and two other people confirmed that as well. And then somehow Lance made a point about like they know about it when our own U.S. Foreign Affairs chair of the committee. They said we sent a wire over. The CIA sent them a wire like 3 days before the invasion happened. Egypt sent them a wire about this a month or so ago. And even the UK also mentioned this too. So we have all these other governments confirming that they sent warnings to Israel way ahead of time. And they were asleep at the wheel for over an hour at that wall. He said as well, it's because it's Saturday and they just were asleep and they weren't there because of pens and paper or something. I don't buy that at all. There's just a bunch of holes in that story, and it's very convenient that they just left out the videos of Israeli snipers shooting at kids and having reports confirming they were shooting at kids and like directly targeting them from several forensics experts who confirmed that, and the videos of them bombing hospitals, all that just was so convenient to not show in Israel. But there's so much stuff he was saying that was just complete nonsense. I just thought it was hilarious. That was very insightful, actually, about how desperate they are to try to win people over. But that's my perspective, at least.
No, I 100% agree. That was like so crazy at the beginning, where it's like they have these videos of these atrocities, but they can't show them to everybody because it's like super sensitive. But they will show them to the influencers. It's like, dude, that's crazy. It's like, can you not see? They don't need you to kiss the wall. What they need you to do is hop on Instagram and do exactly what Cam Higbee did, going on TikTok live in his IDF shirt saying, I support Israel, debate me. That's what they're counting on. That's enough. You are enough for them. Their trip that they paid for is worth it. As long as you pull up in your IDF shirt and make videos with the Doom soundtrack, justifying the USS Liberty incident. Like, that's crazy to me, dude.
Yeah, and it's funny that he didn't have an answer about the whole story about the beheaded babies. There was this big talking point. That's so the inception of that story was because they found this soldier for Israel who has a history of literally of being mentally unwell and had several questionable things in his background, saying just off the cuff that they were beheading babies or something. Then they had some Israeli reporter parrot that, and that became a big story somehow when there's no veracity or any evidence to it.
Yeah.
That was the story we heard. Then that was repeated by Trump during the State of the Union address, saying about beheaded babies, which is a complete lie. So it was just complete Israeli propaganda. And you're correct by saying both sides are doing it, but he couldn't even admit that both sides are doing it.
That's the
To be
issue.
clear, yeah,
That's like
right,
the whole thing of like, well, when there are multiple Israeli Defense Force like members who are raping a woman, it's caught on camera by like their facilities camera. They literally stand in front to block the view of the camera. That's crazy. When that occurs, they're just a couple of bad eggs, and they got thrown out, they got kicked out. But when something bad happens that like somebody in Hamas does, which by the way happens, like I'm not disputing that. I don't think that these are just freedom fighters. There's certainly a bunch of evil people who are certainly also killing civilians. But when that happens, it's something that they're trained from the crib to do, to tear out people's hearts and eat them and murder them. It's like,
yeah,
what the heck?
it's crazy.
The like level of analysis. There's no amount of courtesy given to the Palestinians, and there's an infinite amount of grace given to the Israelis. That's what is frustrating.
And then somehow not knowing the exact coordinates of where the West Bank is means that there is no mass killing of children or women or anybody in the region. It just doesn't matter. Doesn't not a thing anymore because you'll know the exact points and coordinates.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I misspoke.
Right, but you're still correct though. I mean, there like even before October 7th, like there were still many incident, I guess, like attacks or I guess killings of Palestinians by IDF soldiers in that region. Like it's not like a new
what
thing.
I thought.
Like
that, yeah, and he pushed me on that. He was like, "There's nobody who's dying in the West Bank." I'm like, well, I don't think that's true. It's like I feel like I've heard plenty of stories of people dying there. I don't think it's these large building demolitions. I may be wrong about that, but certainly there's these scuffles and there are people who die in the West Bank because it is a contested area.
Correct. Because history again, like I'm not going to go into the history, but like, history didn't start October 7th. It didn't start like at October 7th. There's been a very long path back and forth with both sides, and it's not like all of a sudden this thing just happened. No, there's lots of back and forth that happened for decades and for even longer than that. And they're having casualties in the West Bank. They're having casualties all across the region. And then there's a point that Lance made about I think he was mentioning something about like the Qatar thing was debunked. That was hilarious.
I'm so glad I watched that video, dude. I was like, that prepared me. Dude, huge shout out to Leather Apron Club. Like, you gotta love when because I know that guy invested tons of time into making that video, and I hope if somebody sends this to him, he can at least see that his studying, his time put into the video was put to good use. Because that Qatar argument is just like the most stupid thing ever, and it's like on its face, it's ridiculous. Name an American senator who flies the Qatari flag in their office. It's crazy.
Right. I want to see Ilhan Omar flying that. I don't see any other ones flying it. I mean, I will say also that there's been a point. Oh, well, Qatar influences Americans. Like, I think, quite frankly, that it's not. I mean, I think that most foreign governments try to influence our own politics in some capacity, just like we do. Like, we try influencing other people in other regions. Like, we had the entire war for democracy in the Middle East. Like, we've tried influencing other governments for a very long time, and they do the same to us. However, the issue is that when you have I guess organizations, entities, and this influence like Israel does that impacts our politicians to where we're bending over backwards to make our own foreign policy all about Israel, that's a problem. And we see it clear as day. And it's like in terms of the atrocity propaganda and his claim about it's just it's only the Palestinians doing it, and he didn't have any comment for anything else. Like I've read reports from the New York Times about it's actually really very saddening stuff. Like about snipers taking out children, and there's videos of them laughing about it. And all of that. Like it does exist. And I'm sure there's horrific things and that that the other side's done as well. But Lance couldn't even admit the fact that it's going on. He couldn't even. It's not even in his reality or his world. In his eyes, it's just Israel. Nothing they can do is wrong, which is why he was in support of literally nuking everybody if it meant that Israel could survive somehow, which is very, very insightful
And
at the very end.
exactly, and you love the fact that it's like he would support the Christians, but because the Christians, they're not going to kill all the Jews. But it's like if the Jews have to kill all the Palestinians to get their state, well, hey, they're just better at war. So that was crazy to me. That was nuts.
Yeah, and he couldn't even put together the whole analogy. So you're saying, well,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the Christian insurgent group that's taking over Israel, what if we just took that idea and applied it somewhere else? Like the Patrick episode where you put it somewhere else is I have to put the idea somewhere else. You just don't put the two and two together at all. I was like, that was funny.
No, that was nuts. That was nuts, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate you jumping in the stream.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming and talking about some of those issues. I got to look into it. I honestly, with this debate, that is the best thing. That is the thing you have to do, is you have to be able to pull up these case studies like you were saying with like the Israeli snipers. That's one that I had not even thought about, but you're right. It's like it's so bad. It's so bad. So
yeah,
and that is the way you have to talk about it. That's why I think the Israel-Palestine conflict has gotten so much traction, why so many people are like just against Israel. And then you have clips like freaking Destiny, who goes on and talks to IDF soldiers and says, just turn off your body cams. It's like, dude, that's
please, those are the war crimes. Please turn off the cameras. I want to say war crimes. Please.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I don't want to crash the stream, so I want to go hop on. I was crashing out listening to Lance answering questions by like saying, well, I don't know. Well, what analogy do you mean? I don't know.
And I love
crazy.
You gotta love. Also in the middle, just like, well, what's the Israeli Senate like? It's like, dude, I don't care. I don't want babies to die. It's like, I didn't know if what difference does it make if the Israeli Senate votes on killing
do you know about
civilians?
Yeah, but Kai, do you know what the party system they have in place? Do you know about the party system and the way they vote?
Seriously, dude, it's so frustrating, man. Anyway, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you big time, Chief. Big shout out, everybody. Chief Trumpster, thank you for calling in.
Yeah,
have a good
stream.
Bye,
yeah,
we gotta play zombie soon.
That's right. Hey, I'm down with that.
Let's do it.
The weekend we'll do it. Yeah,
sounds good. All righty, have a good one, man.
All right, see you later. Yeah.
Dude, what a legend. We love Chief Trumpster. We love him so much. Guys, that was an exciting stream.